versus Oklahoma, with Nico getting hit and strip sacked twice, I credited Josh Heupel for getting conservative and getting the win. I still do. I think he did what he had to do to win. I didn't have a problem with it. Yesterday, I thought he looked flustered and discombobulated. I thought he looked like, well, we've made a conscious decision against Oklahoma. Yesterday, I thought it was like he was kind of, 1 minute he's running tempo. The next play, they're back in the huddle. The next play, they're doing tempo again. You get a 3rd and 7, you're in a draw with Dylan Sampson. Are you trying to score? Are you trying to milk the clock? Yeah. I thought he looked to me like a coach who wasn't sure what the heck he can pull out of the bag of tricks right now.
Kind of grabbing at straws.
That's very much what it looked like.
Yeah,
And my question
that's what I felt.
It looked like a guy who doesn't have confidence in his offense, who's lost faith in it. My question is, and we've probably already answered it, is the one thing, I mean, I don't know that he's got faith in much of it right now, but does the loss of faith start with the offensive line?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just like you said, when they're putting those extra guys in the box, when you really don't, you're not having that many more guys on their team, I think it's just an obvious sign that just says, I don't think, even if it's an equal 5-on-5, they're sitting there going, we can't win all of our one-on-one matchups. We're going to lose more than we're going to win. So they're keeping extra people in. So I think it's simply that, or not just simply that, but that's the number one. If you had to rank it, what do I not trust? That offensive line right there is there. And then I think you look at it and you go, where are my wide receivers? Who can make a play? I think those are the two big concerns in my mind.
I think it starts with the tackles. And even though the tackles were there, I don't think they played very well. I'm not sure if they were 100% or not. But John Campbell did not play very well. I didn't think Hurd played very well. So I think that's where it starts. I think the interior is better than the tackle spot. And maybe Heupel feels like there's an issue there. But I also wonder how much he trusts Nico right now. I think there's a little bit of a concern about some of the decision-making with him at this point.
Yeah, the offensive line's probably affecting play calling and personnel choice, right? That's already been brought up too. But who you see on the field and how they're used is also telling us something about the offensive line, the lack of trust that a wide receiver is going to make a play, because part of the conversation has also been Nico with the football, and there has been time to make plays, and there aren't plays to be made from the guys he's trying to get the football to him.
Right. I expected you would see more called runs, more RPOs where he keeps – you don't see that. And I wonder if that is because they feel he's getting hit enough. I mean, sacked 3 times in the first half, folks, that's going to rattle you. That's going to make you uncomfortable, especially a guy who's still trying to figure out how much time he's got in the pocket in terms of his clock. What was yesterday, his 5th start, 6th start?
6th.
Okay.
Second on the road in the SEC.
Yeah, I wonder how much he likes road games now. Remember that silly comment over the offseason. But this is a guy that when you get him hit like that, I just wonder, would it help to use his legs occasionally? And they don't ever design it and try to do that. At least they haven't the last couple. You haven't seen much of it. Yesterday I didn't see any of it. So I wonder if that's because he's getting hit enough just when he drops back to throw.
Yeah, and I wonder too, and I know it's the road woes. We've talked about that, John. You mentioned that. Your 2 touchdowns less on the road.
Yeah. Actually, it's more than 2 touchdowns
more than
less.
that.
After the last 2 weeks.
You were scoreless in 3 of the 4 quarters. I mean, I think at some point you need to wonder, especially on the road, are opposing defensive coordinators and defenses just better than what you're bringing?
I've got an answer for that, and we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Okay.
An answer I think that works, and talk to a couple
Well, to
offensive
me,
linemen.
I think Will touched on it. I was kind of thinking, you take away the deep ball, even if it's like that old Tampa 2, and then I noticed how they were rallying with one guy coming up fast. You take away that wide receiver screen. Did you notice how fast they were trying to get somebody out there? So you're taking away what Tennessee does or wants to do. What's left?
You know, it was funny. They came out, they started the second half. They weren't getting it out of Nico's hands quickly. They started the second half by doing those quick sideline passes, those first couple of drives. Then that went away. It was like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. And I wasn't sure of why that went away. Did Arkansas just take that away?
I think they just didn't see. You know, I don't think they had enough success at it. Probably, but I would have.
If you were picking up 5 or 6 yards, I'd keep doing it.
Yeah, I would have kept doing it.
It's a sweep, basically.
Yeah, it is a sweep. But I would have kept doing it some more. But I think that's their thought, is that they were trying to get a big play out of it, and so they weren't seeing 10 and 15 yards. They're like, okay, we got to try to find another big play.
Well, I don't think.
I thought when Tennessee scored those 2 possessions in the second half, that here they go.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the momentum.
Right.
And then they would have a penalty to stop a drive or a sack to stop a drive, and they weren't good enough to overcome that. But I thought when they scored those 2 quick touchdowns that, I thought they were going to win the football game.
I mean, that comes back to Tennessee can't get off track, right? Whether it's
Have to be
penalties or
perfect.
sacks.
Yeah.
Arkansas helped with penalties. They I think allowed 30 yards for Tennessee in penalties. So Arkansas gets pushed back. Tennessee's able to go faster. If Tennessee can't go with tempo because they're trying to collect themselves from a sack or a penalty knocks them back, the clock starts running down, that gets them off the tempo that Josh Heupel is relying on as well, which I know is coming up later too.
But that's a good point. The fact that on one of those touchdown drives you got in the second half, they aided you with 30 of the yards getting down the field. That's a very good point. All right. When we come back, let's talk about Nico Iamaleava. Some fans are saying he is a complete bust. That's the term, complete bust. Are we out? Is it time to, I heard, Jimmy, didn't you take, I was in my car for a little bit. I heard like one phone call and it was somebody calling for a quarterback change.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Is it time to bench him? We'll discuss that next. Come on back on the Sports Source.